Another edition of Common Ground. You guys know us. You love us. I hope. Or maybe you just tolerate us or you stumbled here on accident. Either way.
If you hate download, I'm here for it.
Well, listen, that might be the case this episode because your boy got some heat over the weekend. But first, real quick, we'll get into that in just a second. I'm your host, Alex Gettlin.
I'm your other host, Rachel LaForce.
We are a married couple. We are both comedians, and we do this every morning live.
No, every Monday morning.
Yes,
Don't come back tomorrow. We will not be here.
Yeah, we do this every Monday live, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. We're always here.
I think that's it, right?
Stream is live.
So listen, okay, so there's been, so I have a couple different podcasts that I do. You guys might know, okay?
Uh-oh. Weird flex.
Yeah, I have a solo one that I do. I have this one, and I have my Highly Unlikely show. But on my solo podcast, I talk about different things going on in the news and culture, whatever. And I was recently talking about this new COVID vaccine passport thing. And just real quick, if you're not aware what the COVID vaccine passport is, so it basically is something, it's not 100% fleshed out, but they basically want it to be where you need to show documentation that you have been vaccinated with the COVID vaccine to participate in daily domestic life. So it's not so that you can go international. That's different. It's a vaccine passport, quote unquote, to just basically say you have to prove you've been vaccinated to do whatever in day-to-day American life. And so I made a clip from my podcast, put it on social media, be like, hey, I've got some concerns about this passport thing. And I didn't think it was so crazy what I said. I'm going to play the audio right now just for context. Scott, can you play that audio clip real quick? If the vaccines work and you have it, then you shouldn't care if someone else who doesn't want it has it because you're vaccinated. And if the vaccine doesn't work, well, then what's the point of the passport? If the vaccine isn't working, then the passport's irrelevant. It's like the essence of my body, my choice. You really believe in that statement. You shouldn't believe that people have to get vaccines mandated on them. It's just a way to control people. So I don't think I said anything that controversial. I never said, now to clarify also, it was a 15-minute rant on my out loud stream of thought.
You said it right the first time. It was a rant.
On my podcast. And so the way social media works, for those who are maybe not so up to date, Instagram has a feature called Reels, which means you can take 30 seconds of a video and put it out there. And the Reels on Instagram tend to get the most views. If you're trying to promote yourself, it's good to get a Reel, right? So I took 30 seconds of a 15-minute conversation with myself out loud, but conversation, I suppose, and made it a 30-second soundbite. And I threw it on Instagram and TikTok first. I didn't put it anywhere else because I normally don't do a lot of podcast self-promotion on my Facebook page. I got a lot of traction on Instagram. I got an insane amount of traction on TikTok, 30,000 views, and a pretty 50-50 split on people either being like, yeah, you're speaking truth to power, or people being like, oh, you're an idiot. You're spreading misinformation. I was like, I don't think either of those are accurate. I'm just like sharing my opinion about this vaccine passport. Like I didn't say anything about like, I mean, I do understand. I hope people didn't take it this way. I guess some people think I was saying getting a vaccine means you're going to be like mind controlled by the government. That's not what I was saying. I was saying the passport thing. But then I posted, so then TikTok.
And then let me know when I can talk.
I'm almost done, and then I'll let you chime in.
Okay, well, just chiming in. Okay.
And then TikTok, after it got 30,000 views, which for me is really good. Like I don't ever hit numbers that high. I was excited. They pulled it down, said it violated their community standards, which is normally like you get taken down for like harassment, spreading misinformation.
Nipples. Yeah,
showing your nips. Which come on. Who cares about
conversation for a different day, but I'm on your side.
So I was just so it didn't surprise me at all that people were taking different sides. It's like it's an opinion on the internet, of course. I was just surprised that TikTok thought what I was saying was so problematic it had to be banned. So then I posted the screenshot of it being taken down on TikTok and the video on my Facebook page. I was like, hey, I just thought it was kind of weird that like TikTok thought this was so problematic they had to remove it. And yeah, apparently a lot of people on my Facebook page either thought I'm an insane person and I'm spreading misinformation, or again, I'm fighting the good fight against corruption. And it was just like, God damn it, dude. Like we really, wow, are we angry on both sides?
Yeah. I was shocked because you played me, and if you ever listen to this podcast, you know that I will challenge Alex on anything I even remotely disagree with him on, right? So he played me this clip and was like, is this good? I watched it once, I watched it twice, and I was like, because a lot of times, yeah, if you're taking 30 seconds out of 15 minutes, you want to make sure that what's being taken out of context, the internet isn't going to come for you, right? Because you can really,
Sure.
F yourself, essentially. And I was like, no, it makes sense. It's a clear, concise argument. I hear that point of view. I think it's great. So I was just shocked. I mean, I guess I'm an idiot. Like, don't be shocked that you put something on the internet that's talking about just the word vaccine in general, makes everyone's butthole so tight now. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you've had the vaccine, you haven't had the vaccine, you're on a waiting list. Like, it doesn't matter because it's not about the vaccine. It's actually about everything else that came before us having access to the vaccine. And that, to me, is what people are responding to. They're not, I mean, yes, I think some people are responding directly to what you said, obviously. But the people that were basically being like, you're spreading misinformation, like, that's not at all true. The information that you were delivering was saying, here is a thing that's being talked about and will most definitely come into fruition. And here is why we should, be weary of this thing. And also, you're the other crazy thing to me was when people were like, basically calling you an anti-vaxxer. And I'm like, do you have to put in the comments that you're also on a waiting list to get vaccinated?
I did. I put it in the comments. I said I'm not vaccinated, but I'm planning to be. And I'm not anti-vax. I'm anti-government taking our data. And then some people were being like, I mean, all of our data is taken anyway. Who gives a shit? You might as well just get vaxxed and want everybody to be healthy. And it's like, yeah, but okay, it doesn't, just because our data is getting taken doesn't mean we should, in my opinion, be like, well, I guess that's it. Just have all of my info whenever
That's the other problem. And I think the argument that I hear a lot, or the point of view from folks on the left and folks on the right, but the wanting people to get vaccinated from the left and the right are still, I think, coming from different places.
Yeah.
A lot of the folks I know on the left are just like the bleeding hearts, right?
Sure.
The people that I've seen multiple people on my Instagram this week that were like, this has been my first time eating somewhere other than my home in a year. I mean, there are some people who legit never left their home, which good on you, right? I'm more of a person of balance, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go and cough on a bunch of people let me finish.
I have a question when you're done.
Okay. So there are a lot of bleeding hearts that to them, if you are choosing to not get vaccinated, or you're not vaccinated yet, or you're not carrying a flag for vaccinations, then you don't care. I have no idea what's happening this morning. Sorry. That you don't care.
It's a weird day. Scott's car wouldn't start. Our dishwasher's broken.
It's our pets' heads are falling off.
What?
It's from Dumb and Dumber. You guys don't know.
I was like, what happened to Mila?
No. Our pet's heads
She
are
was
falling
weirdly
off.
calm this morning. Normally she goes like a psycho when I come down.
I don't know. I mean, just between yesterday and today, the things, I'm like, what is going on?
Wait, can I ask you a question about your friend? So you said you've had friends who are like, I just left the house for the first time in a year. Are these folks that are either immune compromised or have something in their life that would make sense why they're so scared, or are they just scared?
I don't think it's about fear. I think that they really thought that if they were to go out, they could potentially get sick and get other people sick. Now, and I do have a handful of friends that are immune compromised, or have spouses at home who are. The acting studio that I've participated in for years. Shout out to Robert Devonso. I absolutely love that studio, and they're just now reopening. And and unfortunately now I'm 6.5 months pregnant, so I was like, I'm not coming back to class, but I'll see you in a year or so.
You can't act while pregnant?
I could, but because I'm not vaccinated yet.
Right, that makes sense.
And with the baby, and then I'm going to have to bail in a month anyway, and then we're going to Georgia, I would be paying for classes that I'm not showing up for.
Yeah.
So at any rate, but there's a gal in my class who basically asked for an extension because she is not yet vaccinated, is on the list, and her husband is immune compromised.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's certainly that. And again, I guess, so yeah, there's that whole side of the argument. The crazy thing to me was you weren't saying anything about public health. You were simply saying, and the way that I look at it, and I guess somebody could come for me and being like, that's a stretch or this or that or whatever, but like, hear me out. I was speaking to this last night with you where I was like, what is problematic about this vaccine passport and where my anger comes in is that's not about the government keeping you safe.
No.
If the government wanted to keep you safe, these motherfuckers would have done this whole thing differently. So don't all of a sudden, now the left's in power and they're like, oh, here's what we're doing because like we care about public health. No, you don't. If you did, first of all, our public health system would be completely different. That's where my anger comes in. All of you guys, especially on the left, are working with these, like huge insurance companies. You're all screwing us over. Big Pharma is also making an insane amount of money off these vaccines. All of this is connected. And suddenly everybody can make money and get all of our data. And they're like, oh, we care about public health. Well, beat it. You guys have done America such a huge disservice.
You hear that?
Such a disservice with our our healthcare in this country. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. So my anger comes from now people who either, those folks that have been, completely, that need this vaccine, folks that are older, that are, autoimmune and all of that. And now you're, preying on this fear of people like, oh, if you don't get, and then this narrative, if you don't get a vaccine, then you're a bad person. It's like, yet again, the government and the media turning it around on us when it's like, you guys screwed the pooch on this dog from the very beginning.
Well, you know what's funny? So the real point I was trying to really make, and again, I guess it's kind of my fault for using a 30-second reel because, in the long podcast,
even if you would have put the full 15 minutes up, people would have heard.
Well, they wouldn't have watched it. You have to make it a soundbite to get people's attention. But I was trying to point out that the passport itself is irrelevant because either we're agreeing that the vaccine works, and if you're vaccinated, it shouldn't matter. This is my opinion. Or the vaccine isn't totally effective. So then what's the point of the passport? Like, if it's not that effective, people are just like, oh, we're just hedging our bets. Like, you still should get vaccinated and take the safety precautions. It's like, okay, fine. But then the passport still isn't relevant.
Yeah.
And let me just say one other thing.
Sure.
Then people would just try and people who were going, not just calling me an idiot, but were trying to have a discussion. I'm like, look, I'm just having a thought exercise. I'm here for intellectual debate. I would love to chat this out with people. And people were like, well, I don't think you should worry. I mean, look at the TSA. They're not even good at their job. And I was like, that's even more reason to oppose it. The TSA still exists and it costs us money. Like, they were trying to argue that, because I was not playing the angle, but speaking from the attitude of view of dude, I don't want the government or corporations either, but that's a sort of a different thing in a sense of just having our health data and making us surrender it over. And then people will be like, oh, they're never going to be able to organize it, blah, blah, blah. And they're incompetent in this and that, trying to do because they're incompetent, you shouldn't worry about it. And it's like, well, if that's how you really feel, you should be even more opposed to it because then it'll be even more dangerous because it's going to cost money and be unsafe.
Well, it's called a precedent. And as soon as you set one, there's no going back. And I understand that the argument, and I even have some people in my family that have the argument of well, they already have all my data. What does it matter? Right. And to the average, sure. The difference is, if we're talking about collective power or the people ever actually being able to have any sort of stab at getting some real, law changers in office.
Yeah.
We're slowly letting that go more and more and more and more. And again, my anger goes back to F you don't get my health data. You're not even doing anything to better our health system.
Right.
And now you want to make money off of having my data in the name of public safety. That's disgusting.
Well,
I'm sorry. It's way too early for me to be this mad. But that's how I feel of course I want people to be safe. Of course I want people to be able to go back. Of course I want small businesses that have managed to survive to be able to thrive again. I want people who did have a small business, hopefully within time, to be able to, obtain their brick and mortar again. Yeah. I want all of those things. But if you think for a second that this vaccine passport is tied to folks being able to obtain those things, you're cuckoo bananas.
I wish I had a sound effect that could play patriotic music while you're speaking,
Well, it's true.
A rally cry.
But that's also where I get so angry when people are either it was like with, 9/11, if you spoke out at all about what was going on, it was like we created this narrative of like, you're with us or you're against us. You're a patriot. And if you had any sort of intellectual thought of going, wait a minute, I don't actually think that these things are mutually exclusive. I think there's a couple things going on. People were like, you're anti-America. And it was like, okay, I don't know how that seems
now
like
we're
a big jump.
20 years into Iraq and Afghanistan, no sign of getting out anytime ever.
Right. And remember what everybody was saying? It's not that big of a deal. So it's the same thing. And
Remember when it was 15 days to slow the spread? Remember that?
I mean, first of all, that's hilarious. And even when that came out, I remember being like, anyone who knows anything about science or medical data at all would know, like, you can't collect any data in 15 days.
Yeah. Well, I think anyway, so I was going back with another friend of mine who works, I'll just be vague because this person didn't want me to mention them.
Yeah, don't out them.
They know what they're talking about because they work in the field of medicine in some capacity. This person, I was speaking with them and I was explaining how, like, people just don't trust our politicians because they just, all the misinformation, the back and forth, this and that. And this person was saying that the World Health Organization actually put out an official statement saying that it is more dangerous to wear a mask at the gym and you're more likely to end up spreading and causing infection because you're sweating so profusely and breathing so heavily and touching it. And, and it's safer to not wear a mask when you're exercising and just be distanced from people. But because of all the misinformation and confusion that it's in the U.S. at least, and probably a lot of places, they're like individual places are saying keep your mask on because it's too complicated to explain. And the gym, you know what I mean? It's just like, God damn it, dude. Like, what?
But you know what that shows me is that adults still don't know how to listen.
But the World Health Organization says this.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think about a group of kindergartners.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I'm separating them into groups, and at this station, we're making ornaments. And at this station, we're making Christmas trees out of popsicle sticks. And at this station, right? Each time they move to a different station, I'm just going to give them a different set of directions. And we're going to keep doing it over and over again. The fact, really what that speaks to me, not even just about listening, that like adults can't, like the media has we've all been a part of this churning wheel for so long. We are unable to accept that different scenarios could call for a different set of rules.
Yeah, man.
Or guidelines. Like we are inflexible now of acknowledging logic. Like, to me, if I was to walk into a gym and it was like, and that was what I was being told, to me, I can go, okay, logically that makes sense. And then I can make the choice if I would feel safe being in that environment or not. And if I don't, it's not me going, gyms don't care about me, or like they're, where everything, that's the other thing that has happened, is everything has become about us.
Yeah.
And it's like,
right,
dog, this is not, COVID is not happening to you,
I don't think
dog.
I don't think that's surprising though, when we spent the last 10-ish years obsessing more and more over social media, because social media basically is curating a world around yourself. I mean, I know we're professional entertainers and podcasters, so like, I guess a little bit of a hypocrite calling this out, but it's.
But I also can acknowledge, to me, it's not hypocritical. I acknowledge the amount of time and energy that I spend on social media.
At least your stuff is all about like positivity and spirituality. It's not like.
Sure, but I also feel like it's curated in the fact of like, obviously I want photos where like I look attractive, I look pretty. People like things that are pretty, but I'm also not scared to go on there when I'm lying in bed and I'm like super pregnant and like sick and being like, this is also the reality of my life. So, which that's a whole other conversation.
Tucker says the CDC has also moved the distancing guidelines to 3 feet, not 6 feet. I have not seen one place when I go out into the world that is acclimated to this new guideline. This kind of scares me.
Tucker and I were talking, I think yesterday or the day before, and he mentioned that. And I was like, yeah, what a great point, right?
I still have to go back. First of all, thank you, Tucker. Second of all, the fact, of course, nobody else is listening and no one's paying attention. And the other thing is like, we shouldn't have to tell adults to stand a proper distance from other adults.
Yeah, that's a big thing for you.
That's such a big thing for me. Like, when
you're very big on personal space.
Well, it's just like, what are you doing? Are you trying to smell my perfume? Like, get back up.
Oh,
Man.
Yeah.
Like that's public decency when you're out in public. I mean, that's the other thing we've learned from all of this of like, y'all don't know how to behave.
The interesting thing to me, there's been a few this past year kind of key issues that people seem to split on. The vaccines, obviously, if lockdowns work, racism and how serious it is, the police, right? But this one in particular seemed extra bizarre to me because
Which one?
the opposition or the idea of me being publicly opposed to vaccine passports. I don't know. It was just weird. It was weird to me how many people not only took the attitude of like, I don't care if people have my health data. That I understand because they're like, you're laissez-faire about it, whatever. Your data's all out there. But that they were like really angry with me. Like really angry in a way that they felt like listen, my following is very modest. I hope to grow it. With your help, listeners, you can help me do that, right? But
I want 1 million people mad at me.
But like one person was like, came at me and was like, you really have a responsibility if you have a following to do the right thing, and this is just like laying into that angle that like I was.
But also, what does somebody deem responsible?
Dude, I don't know.
And and this is where like I definitely float. I kind of like float in the libertarian waters, and you know me.
Come on over, baby.
I'm never going
They're
to.
warm.
But I have no problem.
Why not?
I mean, really, do you want to start that can of worms right now? But I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Because there's a lot that to me on like a basic libertarian platform is too cut and dry. It's not going. There's not enough flexibility within their party plan.
Well, even within the party, there's like fractions of how.
Sure, but I just mean like on their basic principles. I'm like, sure, in theory, this sounds great. You have to show me in practicality, and then you also have to leave room for other policies. Like to me, if we were to look at all the policies in place across like, Democrats, libertarians, and Republicans, and if you could go through, I want a party, I guess this is kind of the unity party, right? And I think
that kind of fell apart.
I know, but we're going to.
Although Tucker was pretty involved. If you're still watching Tucker Hobby, can you give us an update on the unity movement? Because the latest I've been kind of keeping tabs, it seems like it was sort of. See, the thing is, they don't have like an organized leader. There was a guy named Brett Weinstein, who's a pretty big podcaster, who's been on Rogan a few times, who sort of kicked off this movement. But there doesn't seem to be any person in like that space who's like really popular and vocal, kind of leading the charge. And it's sort of a lot of just.
Well,
aimless,
yeah, I mean, I would this is without knowing anything about it. But I would also think it's the amount of fatigue that would come from that, because it would I would think it would take 5 years of growing continually over and over and over again before you're actually acknowledged on a party ticket, and then, or like on a voting ticket rather. And then after that have enough notoriety that people really, because I think it really could work. And I think it's really what people need.
Yeah.
But again, the amount of fatigue, we also know the amount of money. I mean, that's the other thing. They're going to be muscled out because of money.
And you're going against two of the most powerful organizations on planet Earth.
You're going up against titans.
Yeah. The Democrats and the Republic, the corporate structure organization of what actually is Republicans and Democrats. And in fact, I mean, this is the thing that's the most fucked up too, is like this past election cycle, both parties were suing the Libertarians and the Green Party up and down, trying to get them kicked off ballots. And
it's so dirty.
After this last one, they just voted to like re-up the standards to make it even harder, because Libertarians are getting a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
They're like the biggest third-party option at the moment, especially now with the passport thing. They started retrending. And I have to look in the nuances of this to find the exact information, but basically you have to hit like certain numbers in polling data to be allowed on like the national debate stage. And they just like pushed it through to make it even harder to get on, because they know that like the wave is coming. People are fed up. Like, I want to hear another option. But
that's also so much cause for what we're seeing right now of like this. And I'm certainly not somebody who, I mean, I'm always like, pay attention. Your government is lying to you, and they're lying to you in the media too, is like lying and create a narrative that's all about fear, so that you and talk about fatigue. They'll do it over and over and over again, so much so that you don't even realize how tired you are. You don't realize how scared you are. And then you don't even stop and go, wait, why am I so tired and why am I so scared? Right? So like that's where my anger and frustration comes from, because I also acknowledge of like a governing party, in order to do so in a place that's as powerful as America, in a global economy, like, of course it's going to be corrupt. Like, I don't come to the world of politics from this place of like, but we could all get along. Yeah, we could, but you know what? Like, we wouldn't be doing business with China. We wouldn't you wouldn't have iPhones. You wouldn't, sure, we could all get along, but then like we're all just going to be farmers again and everybody's hopefully going to have to like each other.
China's no joke, man.
All right, I didn't mean the hot button issue. I didn't mean trigger
let's
point.
all
right, we can pivot from this because
well, no, let me I just
sure.
The thing that I feel about the vaccine passport, which is if I genuinely believed that it was about here's a way that we can monitor and make sure that people stay safe, it's like, great, but that's not what it is.
Right.
And I also still think that like if people have are offering up the thought of like, hey, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about getting a vaccine when my government and the media has not picked a side this entire time. The narrative keeps changing. This idea of misinformation.
It's the most rushed vaccine.
It's the most rushed vaccine.
Guys, we froze. I don't know what happened.
Oh, no.
You just froze. The audio seems to be going. If you guys want to keep talking.
Yeah, it's fine. Can you just refresh?
I don't know.
We'll pause.
I'm going to check on my phone and see if it's
on Facebook too. It's frozen.
Oh, it froze on OBS?
Yes. We have still of Rachel going.
But
it looks like the audio is still coming through. We're still live.
Okay. Yeah. Do me a favor. Let me.
Just fix it for a second. It's not,
Too bad. You guys were in a good role there.
Fuck, this is so frustrating because now it's like, is this going to keep happening? Let me just unplug this and replug it in. I don't know why.
I don't know. It's just what's going on.
Yeah, if that happens again, just unplug this and plug it back in.
Okay. Are we still live?
Yeah, we're still live.
Yeah, this do start streaming again.
I think so. Can you say something, babe?
Hey, let me say something. Let me say something. You can't hear me?
No, I see you on here. You're like frozen on.
Wait, no, I just saw the picture blink there. I think it's just the delay.
Let's see. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay.
I'll let you go.
Are we back, baby?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just, we just have to have more things break today.
Dude, I don't know.
Technical difficulties. How's it look now on Facebook?
On Facebook, there's a delay. I can see Rachel's moving in the.
Okay,
We'll keep going.
so we're back to moving. Okay.
I saw some comments. Thank you guys, Ricky. I saw you said some comments in. That was nice. I think he said, what did he say? Rach is on fire today?
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but the thing broke.
Yeah.
It just makes me really angry, I guess, because as somebody who I genuinely believe, or I know now that so much of my purpose with comedy and with speaking now is to hopefully not only continue to educate myself, but wake other people up too. Of just because you want to question something doesn't mean if somebody's having that question and thought about the vaccine, that's not them saying that they're anti-vax. That's not them saying they don't care about public health.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Just the fact, again, we don't leave room in conversation for nuance. We have decided that it's you're with us or you're against us, And to your point where you were I was shocked that people were so angry. And I'm I'm not, but it's also, now even on Instagram, anytime that you use the word vaccine,
I know
it used to just be COVID. And now if you use the word vaccine, they also had, in stories where if they have something new, it'll pop up in your stories.
Yeah.
And then they've got all these new guidelines now about the vaccine. And again, from a public health standpoint, I'm great. We should want people to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I want people to be safe. I want people to be able to be healthy, of course. But this narrative that's now being played around the folks that are putting out these vaccines, again, Pfizer was even which I have to read more into this, so don't at me, or if you have more information, please feel free to send it to me, but don't call me an idiot because I'm talking about something, okay?
How dare you?
Or do, but also like bug off, you know? Bug off. Oh.
What are you, 90?
Yep. Kick rocks, Jack. Okay. Is just like now they're already like, well, people might actually need a third vaccine, or oh, now everybody needs a vaccine every year.
Of course.
So that is the precedent. Again, as soon as everybody decides, like, hey, or even just the awareness, even if your awareness is like, listen, I want the vaccine because I want to feel safe and want other people to feel safe around me, so I'm getting it. I also acknowledge this precedent that's being set. I am aware that it's happening, and I want to stay due diligent of what I can do to be aware of, you know, my data that's being taken from me. Like, they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
The other thing that was weird, too, some people were being like, you shouldn't freak out about it. Like, who cares? People are going to forge these vaccines left and right anyway. And it's like, so even more reason they're pointless. Like, what?
Yeah.
Do you not? But anyway.
But that's how I feel about going through TSA now, too.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, this whole, it's so, I mean, honestly, I mean, give the U.S. government an Oscar for drama-worthy behavior. I mean, the TSA, what drama? You know what I mean? Take off your shoes, your belt,
What's
everything.
that? Isn't there like a cable news or a cable TV station where it's like where drama lives? It's like TBS or USA.
Yeah, it's TNT.
TNT. What is it?
It should, something like drama starts here. Or
Yeah,
something.
it should be TSA. Drama starts here.
You know, or USA drama starts here.
Yeah, no joke, dude.
But I mean, it's just
drama's everywhere. Just other governments throw you in prison if you
sure. And listen, I am grateful to live in America. I think there are plenty of beautiful things we're doing. Again, raising awareness and asking people to wake up to their environment is also not saying, oh, America's terrible. Like, I'm moving, you know, like, no, it's simply going, hey, as Americans, as educated, privileged Americans, we have the opportunity to speak about, you know, things that are going on that aren't okay or are being presented as something that they're not. Because and again, some people might come for me on this, but like the precedent that you set with doing a vaccine passport is the same thing of the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act tried to go through, I think it was 11 times prior to 9/11 under different names. Mm-hmm. And suddenly those lawmakers were like, yes, tragedy. Now I can send the Patriot Act through.
Right.
And it went through, you know, with aces, no problem. And suddenly, for any reason we suspect anybody of any reason, you know, without probable cause, we can take them in.
Yeah.
And we can hide them.
Yep.
In Guantanamo Bay. Okay?
It's Guantanamo.
Well, I've never been, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy, right?
But I'm just saying it's like, and again, I know that's a totally different thing or whatever.
No, but it's not that.
It's setting the precedent. It's like, it is something that people should be aware of. And it's also not saying don't get the vaccine.
Yeah.
Get a vaccine. Get healthy. You know? Help other people around you. But also, you know, be aware of what's happening. And as soon as you get a message in your inbox of like, oh, now you have to get one once a year, don't get angry.
Yeah. No.
Because we saw it coming.
I agree with everything you're saying right now.
You know?
I want to move on to something else, though, just because we're going to talk the whole episode about vaccines.
Oh, I was prepared for the whole episode to be about this.
Well,
I told Scotty that when I poured my coffee this morning.
I did find a funny thing, too, just so we can have something that's like... Oh.
Sure. I miss being funny. I really do. I do. I was thinking about that. I was like, gosh, I need to, you know, as soon as we get back from Georgia, I mean, I'm going to be so pregnant, but I'm like, I got to hit up a couple of mics or something because... I mean, I try with my spirituality videos or, you know, I'm trying to come up with a different word because spirituality videos, every time I say it, just makes me throw up in my mouth like a cat. But I'm just like.
Well, okay. So, you know how so I found something funny to talk about today. So, you know how there's like, I don't know where they come up with these, but these ridiculous days, like it's National Donut Day or.
Oh, yeah.
It's National Talk Like a Pirate Day. So, Scott, can you click that first link right there?
Wait, is today something?
Yep.
Is it all your electronics break down? National Flash Drive Day.
This is a real thing. So, National Flash Drive Day on April 5th commemorates the date inventors filed their patent for the first USB flash disk. Now, flash drives are kind of becoming irrelevant at this point because
of
I mean, they're still used, but now like there's SD cards that hold more space in a smaller thing, and then there's like you just Dropbox people stuff.
Oh, I see. Or even like, what is it called? AirDrop.
Yeah.
That took
there's
me
too.
way too long to find.
But Scott, can you scroll down a little bit? So here on nationaldaycalendar.com, which if you ever wanted to know what the day is to celebrate, that's where you go.
Oh.
How to celebrate Flash Drive Day. Whether you save pictures or backup files, consider how versatile the thumb drive is. Play a retro game, or if you have extra devices, donate them to a good cause. Well, that's nice. So yeah, it's just, little shout out to National Flash Drive Day.
Wow. I'm going to tag all my pictures on Instagram today as hashtag National Flash Drive Day.
But yeah, I just stumbled upon this website and I was like, I'm going to come every now and then I'll pop on here and see.
Now, is a flash drive different than a thumb drive?
I think it's the same thing.
It's the same, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it a flash drive because it does it in a flash? And then a thumb drive because it's the size of your thumb?
Scott, can you Google why is it called a flash drive? Let's look it up. I don't think so. I think it probably has to do with something. The thumb drive, I would assume, because it's about the size of a thumb. Why is it called a flash drive? Let's see. They're called a flash drive because they use flash memory to store files. Flash memory is a type of computer chip, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, now we know.
Okay.
So that was it. That was it for National Day. But I also found one other thing I know you're going to have opinions on.
Oh, no. Funny ones?
Kind of, but it's also
Jonah will not stop moving.
Geez.
And I think he's now where he's like, this is my parents. This is the thing.
Scott, click on that CNN article there in the middle. Can you read this out loud?
Ooh, it's too good. Sales of Bentleys and Lamborghinis are booming because rich people are bored.
That's where we are, guys.
Oh.
Can you scroll down? Yeah, okay, here we go.
Oh, it's too good. CNN. It's been a great time to be selling really, really expensive cars. I've been in this business for 40 years, and I've never seen anything like this, said Brian Miller, president of Manhattan Motors, a high-end dealership that sells Bentleys, Lamborghinis, Bugattis, among other ultra-luxury brands. While auto sales as a whole have suffered from factory shutdowns and other disruptions due to the pandemic, sales of super expensive cars like Ferraris, Bentleys, and Lamborghinis finished 2020 at a blistering pace. In the United States, overall passenger car sales were down 10% compared to 2019. Wow, but the cost of but sales of cars costing more than $80,000 almost doubled in the fourth quarter. Wow.
Now, that makes sense because people who have that kind of money, they can't travel, like they can't go on their luxury vacations. They're not out at fancy restaurants. They're not out at clubs. You know what I mean? They have to, and they're like, well, I have millions of extra dollars. I got to blow it on something. But also, isn't that indicative of just how pointless these shutdowns were? I know in the beginning we had to take some precautions, but to me, it's like this just highlights how the mega wealthy weren't affected at all. And like, oh, they're so bored, they're buying extra luxury cars. And the rest of us had to lose out on all the day-to-day things that, does that make sense?
I mean, I just couldn't, there were days during this pandemic for me that, and as much, privilege and resources as we have available to us, there are some days during the pandemic that I had to sit on the phone with EDD, which is the unemployment office here in California, and hopefully get through to figure out if my benefits were coming in.
Yeah.
Yet, some Chad in New York was like, ugh, I'm so bored. I'm bored. And then just went and bought a Bugatti.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Literally, that's what it is.
But also, like, I mean, I obviously do not feel bad for those people, but there's also a part of me of like, oh, they miss out on so many great things. They're never going to know what it's like to have to sit on the phone with EDD and be stressed.
I think it's an experience that most people don't need to go through.
I don't think so. But I also will say, in their defense, what a great time to have a sports car. Not a lot of people on the road.
Yeah,
because that's
sure.
the other thing. Like when in Beverly Hills, if I see a Ferrari or like any of these nice cars, I'm like, for who? In Beverly Hills?
Right.
You can't even, like, if you're going down Rodeo Drive, you're maybe gonna bust out 15 miles an hour before you get to the next red light.
You know what's funny?
Like those cars are meant to just, I mean, that's like seeing.
Yeah, but you know why?
But that's like having a Great Dane in a studio apartment.
But even if you have the car, unless you're like on the Autobahn in Germany where you can just go how fast you want, anywhere having that car is absurd. It's not, I mean, where can you drive it? Where do you get like the benefit of? I just don't get to me. Cars for me, I only care, is it comfortable? Is it safe and is it comfortable? That is it. Like people who are like, the torque of the blah, blah. I was like, who fucking cares? Like, especially people who buy these like expensive cars that have to take premium gas. Why? Like, because it's like a sensitive engine. Think about this logically. If your car was really great, if it was like that great of a car, it should need the cheapest gas. Shitty cars should require premium gas.
That's funny.
Why? It's a trick. You're like, if your car's so great, why is its engine so sensitive? For what, dude?
That's very funny. That's very funny.
Am I wrong?
Tucker has a side question. Have either of you gotten your Fauci ouchie yet? I think he means the vaccine.
Oh, have you heard this?
No.
They said they call it a Fauci ouchie. They're trying to rebrand all these things that your vaccine should be in. This is real. Look it up. Google Fauci ouchie. See what comes up. Because
Wait. Who is trying to rebrand the vaccine?
the people behind. Here, let's look it up because I want to make sure I get this correct. Yeah.
Oh.
It says it's a song.
Yeah. Fauci ouchie. I guess it's a song. Here, click on.
Definition and meaning.
I guess, yeah. I don't know if this is like an official thing. Click on news. See if it comes up under the news. If there's like, yeah, I guess.
My God, there's COVID-19 vaccine merch.
Yeah, of course, dude. Are you surprised? Yeah,
Oh my gosh, Fauci ouchie.
dude.
Wow, we can really sell anything.
We can.
Moderna cup holders,
Boo.
Pfizer alumni T-shirts.
Oh my god.
This is the world we're in now.
Oh,
this is like some Brave New World
Dude,
shit.
we don't deserve
send
nice
the
things.
asteroid. We need to
Do
start.
it.
We need a new ice age. We got to start over.
I mean, that's the other thing when people,
Is this real though? This looks fake. I don't know.
No, yeah,
I think it's like people made them themselves.
Oh,
I don't think it's being pushed
There you go.
by.
There's your Fauci ouchie.
that's so funny. To answer your question, no, not yet.
No, we have not gotten our Fauci ouchies. Rachel's going to wait till after the baby's here. I just haven't been able to get an appointment. I'll get it. I'm not opposed to it. But anyway.
I mean, I would like you to be vaccinated. We've had that conversation in our house.
Mm-hmm.
So we're definitely not anti-vaxxers, but just, the more, especially just with being, with comics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Comics are dirty people. They're dirty people, But
They
I've
are.
seen a lot of them have gotten vaccinated, so that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know that I'm still reading a lot about vaccines for pregnant women and stuff like that. And there's, unfortunately, there's just a lot of really mixed data. And I'm also very privileged to where I can minimize my exposure.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of it that because I'm able to do so. Yeah, I'll wait. I don't have that much longer.
You know what?
But I will certainly get vaccinated. I believe in, I mean, I'm not an anti-vaxxer at all,
Vaccines are amazing. But
Yeah, I mean,
you're allowed to anyway, we're going to go down this rabbit
Yeah.
hole again. So I did have one other thing I wanted to we talked about
but I want it now. I'm like, well, I want to get some COVID-19 merch.
no, I want to forget
Are you kidding? Our great grandkids are gonna find some COVID-19 pin or something in an old box from Grandma and Grandpa Getlin's house and be like, dude, look at this relic.
It is so hard to imagine what the future is going to be like. I've talked about this with you before, but it's like if you go back and look at the past, they never get it right what the future is going to be like. Like, remember
We're still not wearing spacesuits.
Well, but I remember Back to the Future Part 2, and so that was set, I think, a few years prior to where we are now.
Right.
But they're in the future from the 80s.
Right. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. So a few things they got right. Like there's holograms. That kind of is a thing now. Flying cars, we don't have that. But you know what they really missed the mark on that no one could predict? They were still using paper newspapers.
Yeah.
There was
no internet.
They were sending faxes. There was no concept of access to information at a moment. I remember something happened and Doc Brown had to go find a newspaper to check it to see. And it was like, God, so I just love that example because it really highlights that we always miss the mark when we try to predict what's going to happen in the future with different things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
So our great gang kids,
our great gang kids.
great,
Gang.
great,
Gucci gang.
Don't do that.
Why?
I don't know. You might get canceled. I don't think you're allowed to do that now.
I'm not allowed to sing a song?
Dude, I don't know what the rules are anymore, man. You know? Can I listen? I did see
It's the Wild West out there,
I did
man.
see a thing. If you don't want to touch on this, we can move on, but I want your take. And again, when people put things on the
no.
internet,
Oh,
you have to take it
no.
with a grain of salt. But have you heard of the term digital blackface? Do you know what this is?
No.
So digital blackface, from a thing I saw circulating. So, you know, like, you were familiar with memes, obviously. So
Yes.
digital blackface is basically saying that if a white person uses a meme or something in that sort of general thing of a black person to be funny or whatever, it's effectively the digital version of blackface, I suppose, because you're taking someone else's racial identity and using it in a way. Not even like if you're being fun. Like, there's the cry meme of Michael Jordan. I don't know
Right.
if you've seen that one, right?
Yeah.
You just be like, this makes me sad, and you just do that. That, and again, I know it's people on the internet just making controversy out of nothing.
Yeah, I don't know how I sit with that one.
But like, what? Like,
because the other difference, again, the from my understanding and a lot of what I work towards raising awareness about, which is the biggest issue of, or I don't actually even want to say the biggest issue, a way to tell if something, you know, I mean, to me, I feel like people should be able to acknowledge if something is like racist or not. Like, I feel like we all have that internal like ding, but apparently we don't.
I disagree. I don't think people can agree. They don't know. I mean, we can't agree what we should do about vaccines or anything else. Why would we be able to all agree what is and isn't racist?
Well, I know. That's why I was like, it's too late in the show actually to dive into this. But no, I have not heard of that. But also, you like the internet that you live on and the internet that I live on are two very different landscapes.
What do you think your internet is like differently than my, like, what's the difference?
What's the difference?
I do love me some good Twitter beefs. You know what?
Half the time you lay down in bed and then I just hear, oh God, because you're all like, and I'm like, what do you watch?
You watch a lot of fucked up videos.
It's like some weird video of like somebody being like ripped from a car, or
No, I do like watching nature videos where it'll be like a pack of hyenas take down a zebra, and I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. But,
I mean, it's just.
But you know, like I honestly think, I really believe you cannot say anything anymore and not stir up controversy. Like Charles, you know who Charles Barkley is, right?
Yeah, of course.
Well, just in case, you know.
Scientist.
No, the
I'm
co-star
hilarious.
in Space Jam, and retired NBA star. He was on some sports show recently, and he was I didn't see the full interview, but there was a clip that went viral, and he's basically saying like most white people are wonderful, most black people are wonderful. The media, the corporations, and the politicians keep us fighting because it allows them to control narratives, make profits, and keep us at bay. And if we could all just really,
He got attacked for it
of course, because a lot of
because he's a privileged black man.
partly that, and partly.
So the world he lives in is not applicable to most black people.
There was that angle, and then a lot of people were being like, no, Charles Barkley, there's clearly one side who's causing this, and it's, you know which one it is, and it's not the Democrat, or like whatever. Like, it was people trying to say that it's only conservatives doing it, and it's like, what? Did you listen to the man? He literally said 90+% of people across all races are wonderful, and if we can all just acknowledge that, treat each other like humans, and keep in mind that somebody is trying to assert power and profits over us.
Well, the other thing that I'm noticing where I think people really get frustrated is when folks, especially people in positions of power, come out and make a statement as though that statement is true to everyone. And I think that's really where, so there's this woman, her name is Rachel Hollis. She has like over 1 million followers and she's like a spiritual leader or whatever. Okay, again, white women, y'all need to calm down, okay? I tell you this all the time where I was like, as I'm stepping out more and more as a speaker, I'm, you know, really watching out for these things of not that like, you know, listen, if you make a mistake and you get called out, like it is what it is. It's the internet. That is the choice I'm now making with choosing to put my voice out there is to be criticized, right? Both rightfully and you know, fool's errand in a sense. But anyway, this, you know, there's a lot of black healers and leaders and activists that I follow, primarily women, and they called Rachel out. I guess she had posted this video where she talked about the woman who cleans her toilets or something. Okay. And it was like super insensitive and like just dumb. Like the fact that she didn't have the
Was
awareness.
she trying to be funny or something?
No, she's just a rich white woman who didn't realize like how tone deaf this message to a million people was.
Right.
Not only was the first video bad enough, then she got heat. Then she comes back with this video.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to be like, my friend. Like,
I think I have to see the video to have an opinion on it.
yeah, but basically, like, long story short, this woman Rachel comes back out this video and she's like, I would just like to point out me stating a fact that someone cleans my toilets. Okay, I have worked hard to be where I am.
Boo.
Well, Rachel.
Think about the optics, girl.
Rachel. I mean,
Sounds like you're talking to yourself in the third person.
I mean, I just could not. I mean, of course I could believe it. It's like, what an idiot. But and then she calls the woman sis, which is like not.
Like cisgendered?
No, like she was like, okay, sis, like listen up. And I mean, the video is so.
I want to look this lady up.
It's cringe.
Oh, we're almost in an hour, so maybe.
Wait, Tucker had another funny thing.
Oh, yeah, please.
He said, "You know what I don't get? How we have all of this cultural appropriation talk, yet lacrosse is still a thing. Like, it's all preppy, rich white dudes from Duke playing a Native American sport. Why have we never pointed to those douchebags?"
Oh my.
Tuck, that is hilarious.
Dude.
Thank you. I didn't know lacrosse came from Native American Indians. I'll have to look into that. That's very fascinating. But yeah, good point. Why is lacrosse so white?
Dude, that's so funny and also feels like such a great bit for late night of starting like #cancel lacrosse.
Yeah.
Like just this like
God,
fake.
lacrosse really is like universally douchey. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know what about lacrosse specifically. Because it's a sport that, I don't know a lot about it, but the college lacrosse players I knew were like really typical machismo meathead guys. But it's not a sport that has any. I know there is like technically professional lacrosse, but it's like basically nonsense. Like, it's not really a thing.
That's so funny.
Wow. Tucker, did you play lacrosse?
When I hear lacrosse, I just like smell rich white people. That's like.
He says you have my permission to use it in your stand-up.
No, that's what I was gonna say. I was like,
Thanks,
dude,
Tucker.
that's a really good joke.
I might actually throw it into something I do. I'll give you credit, sir.
That is a very funny bit.
It's rare that someone who's not a comedian says something, and I'm not that I'm like, oh, I'm a brilliant comic mind, but that they'll throw an idea out, and I'm like, because people, you know what it is? People after shows love to like pitch us ideas. Like, you could use that in your skit, and it's like, first of all, it's not a skit. Second of all, no, thank you. But once in a while, there's a gem, and Tucker, you sir, threw us a gem. So it is, but it is right. Like, other than maybe like polo, because I would say honestly, lacrosse is the douchiest sport, even more than golf. Because golf, at least, like now there's like pretty successful women in golf, and it's sort of universal. Like, I know it's also a stigma of old rich white men, but it's kind of broken that down a bit. I feel like lacrosse is the douchiest sport that exists, right? Is there a douchier one? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Isn't it like really big on like the East Coast and like the South? I don't know how big it is out here.
I don't know.
Maybe in like the Palisades.
It's definitely not big out here. It's big in Maryland where I went to college.
I know it was big in Virginia.
We had a big lacrosse team, and I only remember once because I was in a fraternity. As you guys listen, you might know this. And
didn't know that about you.
So we would like tailgate, our big football games. And then I guess we at some point started tailgating lacrosse games because we wanted like more things to tailgate. Like, we just wanted to make up.
My gosh.
That's
right.
Funny.
So like I just remember one time one of the guys in the fraternity was like friends with one of the lacrosse players. And he was like, yeah, my buddy was like, he said if you guys wanted to come out, it'd be really awesome. It's like I guess we were playing one of our rivals. And so we were just like, fuck it. Yeah, another reason to tailgate, bro. And like we were a big fraternity. There were like 120.
I mean, I don't think it was a reason to tailgate. It was a reason to binge drink.
Right,
Let's
for sure.
be clear.
But we're just like, oh, yeah, wait a minute. We could tailgate other stuff too, And my frat was big. We had, like, every year there were around 120 guys in it. So we probably had about 40 or 50 of us go to the game, and we, like, took over that stadium. And my friend in the frat said his buddy was like, dude, you guys were, like, our secret weapon. I mean, you were, like, there was a handful of people here and there. I think it was like the friends and family of the players and us, So it was like kind of that's my affiliation with lacrosse. It was.
I can tell you haven't been this animated all morning.
Because I'm remembering it, and I was like, that was a really fun time. I think
College Alex.
I think we were playing against Duke, and I will say, the audience or the spectators at college sports way less civilized on average than pro sports. I mean, I know there's some examples of people in pro sports being animals, but like, man, we would shout really mean, vulgar things at the other team. And thinking about it now, I'm like, man, I'm glad, cell phone video wasn't like it is now back then. Because oof.
Yeah, Tucker also, he added on, I did not play lacrosse. I didn't meet the 4 yacht requirement for the team. I only had 2.
Oh, 4 yachts. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, that's
funny.
Yeah.
Well, something I just thought about, and we'll just end on this, is it's jumping back to when people after shows give you feedback.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of jobs that you finish and people get to tell you their thoughts. Like, I feel like the closest thing is like getting off an airplane.
Right.
Like you have a split second to tell the pilot, like, good landing or like maybe try again. Like there's not a lot of other jobs, maybe like waiters. But I couldn't think of a lot because people.
Well, we do it virtually now, but I know in person to
What
their
do you mean virtually?
like on Yelp and things like that. Like we'll review or.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
But
I just mean like people's ability to interface with you. Well, I think
should we do that more? Like when I go to Subway, should I be like, hey man, I just want to say the way you laid out those cheese slices, killed it.
Well, when they do a good job, you know how often I used to go to Subway and like, yeah, people who like don't know how.
You're really good about that because you will always, if they have a name tag, always address them by name.
Yeah, that's why they have a name tag.
And I know, and I just don't like talking to people in general.
Yeah, you really shut down when it comes to interfacing with other people.
Man, I don't know. I'm not.
What is that about? It's like you're scared that you're going to get stuck in some weird conversation or something.
I just, I'm always polite, and I'm like, have a good day. I'm never ever rude. I just want to move on with my day. Because pleasantries are nice, but like the guy or girl or whoever who's at Starbucks or Trader Joe's, whatever, serving me, I hope they have a nice day. But like, they don't care how I'm doing. They don't like.
I would say Trader Joe's, good small talk.
I will say the Trader Joe's cashiers are hands down the best cashiers of any. I would say any store at all. Really,
they're pretty good.
They're killing it.
I mean, I will say In-N-Out, also a good time, but you're actually really in and out. So not as much time. No, normally when we go to Traders, we're doing at least $100. Haul, right? So you're there for a second, you're kind of talking with people, like.
I mean, I would love to see a side-by-side comparison of like how they train people at Trader Joe's versus like Walmart or Food for Less. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
Like I feel like
the greeters at Walmart. I don't like the Waltons, so I try my best not to support Walmart.
But. Yeah, the greeters are cool. I mean, the greeters, but usually they're like retired people who just want to do an activity.
I know. So
or they're someone who's like more lower functioning mentally, and it's a job they can do.
Yeah.
Which those I talk to those folks because I feel like they like if someone maybe has high functioning Down syndrome or something.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like if I interact with them, that actually makes their day.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I guess I should just you know what? I'm gonna Trader Joe's cashiers and everybody else. I'm gonna chat with you more. I'm sorry.
I feel like people that are doing those jobs, they're hard jobs.
Yeah.
They're tough. You're not being like, I don't think that they even make what they're worth and the amount of energy. And I feel like, being able to acknowledge somebody else when you're with them, I think is really important.
Back on your thing about giving people feedback, we should do that we should do it with like cops and no, that would go
Well,
very
we've been
bad.
trying to give cops feedback for a while, and I'll tell you what, they're not into it.
Yeah, Hantron Seavey is a very funny comic. He has this is all over his Instagram. I'm not burning his bit, but he has a great joke about how like don't be like about stopping crime. See something, say something, and then someone's like, "I saw that cop kill a guy." It's like, dude, shut the fuck up about that.
That's funny. It's true.
I'm butchering it, but it's and there's a lot of wonderful police. Obviously, I'm not disparaging all cops, but there's a lot of bad ones too. We got to deal with it. On that note, right, little light topic to end the pod. Anything else you want to chat about?
No, I think we did it. I do. Well, we've got, how many more weeks are we in studio? And then we're
going out of town for a bit. By the way, Tucker and Ricky, thank you guys as always for sending your comments. We love them. They're wonderful. So we're going to be here next Monday, and then we're out of town for a few weeks. We're going to be doing the audio podcast for sure. We may or may not be live streaming a video element. TBD on that. But we'll definitely at least have video clips and the audio. But I think just because we're going to be back in Atlanta seeing family and friends and it'd be hard to keep a schedule, we might just take a hiatus from the live stream And, just tune in for some fun clips on Common Ground on Instagram or follow either of us. And the audio, as always.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it.
I think that's it. So,
Guys,
live your best life.
get vaccinated. Take care of people around you. Be okay to
If
have.
you feel it's safe for you.
Whatever you want to do, with your body is up to you.
Your body is your choice in every sense of the word.
But also, feel free to have conversations with people because conversations shouldn't be scary.
And, maybe don't play lacrosse if you're thinking about it.
Or do and call Alex and he's going to bring all of his friends and they're going to tailgate at your game.
You guys froze again at the last
All
second.
right.
No.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.